Hey, I want to demonstrate PaintIO, an Arduino plus p5.js painting application. So let's go through what we have for our paintbrush controller. We're using an ESP32, which is the Adafruit Huzzah 32 in this case, an OLED display, which is going to provide information about our paintbrush properties. This is a 128 by 64 OLED display. We're going to use an accelerometer to control the paintbrush. This is an LIS 3DH 3-axis accelerometer. We're going to use this pressure sensor here to control the paintbrush size. And then we have a variety of momentary buttons that are going to do set different properties for us on the paintbrush. So the first thing we need to do is connect with our p5.js application through web serial. So as you can see at the bottom of the screen here, it says press O, the O key, to open the serial connection dialog. So let's do that. We'll hit the O key, and then we simply connect to this ESP32. All right, now I'm going to move around this cursor shown as a sort of black crosshair on the p5.js application. And you note there's also, I'm giving instant feedback on the paintbrush itself about where the cursor is. So if you have difficulty spotting it, as a user on the p5.js application, you can look down and simply find it down here. And that's also going to be responsive as we change to different paintbrushes, like we'd go from a circle to a rectangle. So let's get started. We're going to control the paintbrush size via this pressure sensor. So as I push down, the more I push down on it, the larger the paintbrush becomes. So if I push it just a small amount, it'll be a small paintbrush, and a large amount, very big paintbrush. And if I release it, that's when we get that crosshair effect, when we don't actually have the paintbrush down on the canvas. And I can also, as I'm painting, I can press buttons and switch to different kinds of shapes of paintbrushes. So in this case, it's a square. I can switch to a triangle. I can also switch to an outline mode by hitting a different button. I'm going to clear the display now by hitting this button here on the end, and that will clear the display, as I clearly also show on the OLED. So now I'm in this circle. Now I'm in outline mode, so I'm showing various properties about the paintbrush here. So we'll just do outline. We'll paint with outlines for now. And let's try a different shape. So we'll go to a square. And then finally that triangle. And I'm showing how large the brush size is, again, on the OLED. So as I press things up and down, you get to see that on the OLED display. So another question you might ask is, well, how are we setting the color? Well, the color is set based on the speed of the paintbrush. So as we move the controller, if we move it only a little bit, it's going to be sort of orange or red. And if we move it dramatically, it's going to be blue or purple. I'll clear the screen again and show that off. So if we just move a little bit, it's going to be kind of a warmer color, like a red or a yellow or an orange. And then if we move it fast, it's going to be purple or blue. And then somewhere in between it'll be green. So that's how this application works. That's a pretty good one. There we go. That's another good one, I think. Thus far, we've shown how this Arduino-based paintbrush can communicate information into this p5.js app via web serial. But we can also communicate information back from the p5.js app into our paintbrush. So for example, you'll notice I have this little menu up here in the upper left-hand corner. So we can actually change the shape of our paintbrush, or from fill to outline mode, simply by pressing one of these keys. So we can change to, here now it's circle. And we're doing that just by pressing the keyboard. Now it's square. Let's see if you can see that. Now it's triangle, circle, and I'm just pressing a key on the keyboard here. And then we can also change the fill mode. So now it's outline. We can also combine the Arduino input with the mouse. So we can paint with the mouse, but using properties from the Arduino, including the color, which is set based on the accelerometer, as well as the size of the brush, which is based on the pressure sensor. So let's do that now. I'm going to hold down the pressure sensor to change the size of this paintbrush, and then I'll press my mouse to actually start painting. And then, like I said, we can change the color just based on the accelerometer. Now you'll notice I'm actually painting as well with the Arduino at the same time. So we can paint with two things simultaneously, which looks pretty cool. Or we can turn off the Arduino as a paintbrush. So we can do that by hitting the S key, and I'll clear the screen now. So now we will just be painting based on the different properties of our custom controller, but we're painting actually with a mouse. So I can make it smaller, larger. That looks pretty cool. So this is a two-handed operation of this paint application, which is kind of neat.